Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. I want to show you another DIY project. I want to show you how to have some fun and save a little bit of money at the same time. What can beat that, really? I have a dent here, and you know it's something pointy went into the panel, chipped away a good inch of paint around where the impact was, as well as denting it, and when the paint fell away, it started to rust. So PDR is not going to work here. If paintless dent repair even pulls the dent out, you still have that rust to take care of. So I'm not going to pay to have paintless dent repair work done and then still have to do the same amount of work anyway. Let me bring you in close and explain what's going on here. On the sliding door, something really pointy went in to impact the surface, chipped away the paint, and it started to rust. Now there's touch-up paint in there just to slow down the process. PDR is not going to take care of that. So I'm going to show you a DIY project, show you how to do it yourself, have fun at the same time, save money, and improve the look of this area, which really is an eyesore. And it's right at the driver's door. So every time I grab the handle to get in, I see that and I want to get rid of it, have some fun doing it. Let's get to it. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional or certified in auto body at all. This is a do-it-at-home, do-it-yourself project to have some fun. Those that do this for a living, I have a ton of respect for you because I love the work. I love doing what you guys do. Wish I could do a little bit better. But let me show you what I could do here today. The first thing we want to do is grind away paint at about a 2 to 3 inch area, because we want bare metal for the repair and filler to grab onto. And we want to get rid of any of that surface rust. And we're going to grind that away. Since that is so pointy, or something so pointy hit it, the wheel won't fit in there. So a wire brush to get in there and clean that the rest of the way will be perfectly fine. After that's done, we want to take a panel prep, paint prep, wax remover, whatever you prefer, and we want to clean that area and the surrounding area. Make sure our next step bonds properly to the surface. I always keep my work area clean. We just did a little bit of grinding, so I took the vac and I vacked up the area. I'm wiping in and around. It's what you ground off of this little area gets everywhere. You're not going to be able to get everything, but just keep it as clean as you possibly can in and around your work area. For the foundation layer of the repair, I like to use some form of fiberglass, whether it's tiger hair or a bonded with fiberglass. This is a fiberglass resin, which is quite a bit thinner. I like using this because it gets rock hard, and I can also control that there is no bubbles, air bubbles, that gets in while mixing this and putting it on the vehicle, and that cuts back on pinholes and other areas I need to repair while doing the next step. Very strong stuff here when it cures, when it sets. Very strong stuff. How much hardener do you use? Normally the spot of filler that I have on here, I'll make a line that's the length of the spot. And then mix it in. And when you're mixing in Bondo or fiberglass, you don't twirl around like this. You could cause air bubbles to get in there. You want to take it and smush it down. Pick it up like this. Smush it down until there's no stripes and it's a consistent solid color and the hardener is mixed in properly. Push it down, that'll cut back on the air bubbles. All right. Now we just spread the fiberglass over the repair area. We don't have to be perfect because we're going to knock it down with some in between 80 and 100 grit sandpaper, and we're going to have another layer of a metal filler, metal Bondo to feather edge and really smooth the area out. So you don't have to be crazy perfect for this step. That said, I still like to make it as level as possible. And that's about the area we're looking at. That needs to dry anywhere between 2 and 4 hours, depending on the temperature you have your shop set at. And then we can knock it back with some 80 grit. That gets rock hard. Time to knock it back a little bit. To knock it down a little bit, you could use a machine with an air compressor, or you could do it by hand. Since this is more of a DIY video for fun, I'm going to do it by hand, but you just need to pick a block that is bigger than the area you're working on. This one here will be fine. And you want to attach anywhere between 80 and 100 grit to the block. Now we'll start to knock this back, level it off, and you want to go in crisscross or X patterns. You can see the block is larger than the work area. That's exactly what you want. And let's get to it. Now, you don't want to remove too much of the filler, no matter what step you're on. This is the crude step here. We just want to fill in that dent, level it off the best we can, and then we're really going to refine it with our metal Bondo that comes up next. But either way, if you remove too much, you're going to expose high spots and low spots, and you'll have to just put more filler in, and it leads to a vicious cycle that never seems to end. So just keep that in mind, never remove too much. Between steps, I always like to clean up my area. That's up to you, but that's what I like to do. That cleanup involves wiping down the area and then using a paint prep. These dark areas represent low spots that are lower than the level area we're trying to make. That's no big deal. The initial job here was just to fill in that big crater, and we've done that. Now we just need to refine it and fill up these smaller valleys. No big deal. Again, you want to try not to remove too much of the Bondo or the filler or whatever you're using. or it will lead to a vicious cycle. So between steps, I like to use this prep and clean up the area. And that's where we stand. We're now going to switch over from a fiberglass to a metal glaze, Bondo or putty. Okay. And again, with this hardener, a line that is as long as the circle itself, maybe a little bit longer or larger. And for this, I want to make sure that my putty knife is a wide one. Push out those air bubbles and keep mixing until there's no stripes of different colors and it's all one solid color. Now we fill this in. I like to put pressure from there to there, then leave up pressure, and then give pressure here again. In other words, I don't want to push my Bondo or whatever I'm using out of the center of that hole. I want to fill. And I'm going to make this area we're working on a little bit bigger than the area underneath that we leveled, if that makes sense. I can also see using the light if there's any low spots that we would want to try and fill in rather than avoid having to come back and get into a vicious cycle of filling and sanding and filling and sanding. I noticed a low spot right around in here, so I just mixed a little bit more up and filled that in and built it up. Now you can see it's not a valley anymore. And this area, it's starting to harden. It doesn't take long, about 15-20 minutes, and you can knock that down. Bondo has cured to being rock hard. It's ready to be knocked back, ready to be sanded. And again, we want to hit it with between 80 and 120 grit, and we want to make an X pattern. This is a little bit easier and quicker to sand than the first layer, the fiberglass resin, so you can knock it down a bit quicker. Right here I sanded until I thought it was as flat as I could get it. And you can do this, you could do this step as often as you'd like until you get the desired results. If you can feel it with your hand, like I'm doing here, rubbing it back and forth on the area, if you can feel something with your hand, you're going to see it after it's painted. You got to let the sense of touch take over when we get down this far in the sanding step. And if you feel something, just fill it back up with some more Bondo and level it to your liking. When you're satisfied, and I'm quite satisfied right here, I will switch from the 400 grit to the 600 grit, and I will refine the sand marks that we made by flattening out the Bondo, if that makes sense. I do like to clean up just a little bit between each step, and then we'll wipe down the area with a body prep or a tack rag, and then we can start taping up in preparation for primer. When it comes to primer, you can either spray it out of a bomb can, or you can use a gallon, or take some from a gallon of your Limco from an auto body supply store, spray it through a spray gun. This is a DIY video, so we're just going to use the, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll use the sandable primer from the bomb can, and then we'll spray the color coat from the spray gun. Primer layer is going to go on top of our repair, creates a nice barrier and a layer for the paint to go up on top of, protects bare metal. First layer is going to be light. I'll do 3 layers, and that'll help kind of fill in some very light sand marks as well. It's a good first light layer, dry layer, and then 2 following wet layers or heavier layers. Okay, when you get your desired amount on there, and you want enough on there that it fills a little bit as well, 2 to 4 hours is the average of a lot of these primers to cure and dry before sanding. I just leave it overnight. I like to do the spraying of the primer right before I leave, at the end of the day. Let it sit overnight, and then it's nice, it's perfect for sanding the next day, so we'll be back. Primer has had overnight to cure. I laid it on thick, so instead of the 4 to 6 hours, 2 to 4 hours, depending on the primer, I let it cure overnight, and now it's perfect timing to come in and sand it. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too wavy. It's not going to be perfect. I'm still working on my shaping of filler. You learn every day. When you do this, 400 grit to knock this back, level it off, and then I'll grab 600 grit and scuff this whole area, because we just primered this work area, but we're going to color coat. This vehicle is single stage, by the way. You either get single stage or color coat, clear coat. Toyota does still make some single stage vehicles, and this is one of them. Had that sanded nice and smooth, scuffed up the rest of the area that needs to be painted, the panel as a whole. Now it's time to clean up around my area. I'm going to wet the floors. Time to use a prep and wipe down the panels as well. Make sure they are nice and clean, dust free. We used a bomb can for the primer, and you can absolutely get a spray can mixed up with the exact color of your vehicle, but I'm going to switch over and use the Black Widow HVLP sprayer, economical sprayer from Harbor Freight. I'll try to remember to put a link down below. And we'll use this to spray the color coat, which is a single stage desert sand mica, and it is a Supreme Plus single stage. We just mix it 1-to-1 with a reducer. What a beautiful color. Gorgeous color. Now, before I gear up, put my mask on, the first layer, it's going to be 3 layers of the single stage. The first one's going to be light, a dry coat, and then 2 following wet coats, a little bit heavier, and that should do it. Maybe a little bit of waviness that you're really going to have the right angle with the light to see, but a hell of a lot better than that rusty dent that would have continued and really caused a lot of problems. Let's get this thing painted. All right, guys, so I let this dry. I let it dry for a few days. I go find something else to do, and I always put extra layers on there because myself still learning how to spray correctly and professionally, and once I do, jumping up to a better spray gun. Until that happens, I will have to put extra layers on there so I can cut and buff. So there's plenty of material on there to wet sand and polish and make it smooth as glass, but that is a whole lot better than the way it was. And hardly any dust nibs, 1 or 2, maybe 3 dust nibs. I did hang some curtains meaning I put it on a little too heavy and it started to run a little bit. I can wet sand that as well. Other than that, it's just orange peel effect or texture, and I will work on getting better at that, but that's pretty much how it's done. If you want to see a video of me going from here on, you know, letting it dry completely, getting rid of the paper here to see how it matches, doing some wet sanding and cutting it and polishing it to a mirror finish, let me know down in the comment section. But that is just basically, that's how you do it. That's the process. And tweaked a little bit here and there depending on who you are and your skill set. I'm going to get out of here. I'll catch you in the next video.